Well, hey, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Bible Podcast presented by Saint Church. My name's Caleb, and our hope is to help you study the Word of God every single day. Every day, we're taking time to upload episodes on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, where we read through a chapter of the Bible, we look at the context it was written in, and we see what it has to say for us today. Today, we are going to be doing just that by continuing on our study through the book of Leviticus by reading out of Leviticus Chapter 22. Now, really quick, before we dive on into that, if you're checking this out on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, and you end up enjoying this, take a moment to follow, leave a like, subscribe, consider even leaving a rating and a review. All of those things are going to help make sure that you don't miss out on upcoming content, and it's going to help other people find out about it and know it's trustworthy content to check out. But with that being said, let's just dive right on in. Leviticus chapter 2, starting in verse 1, let's see what the Word of God has to say today. It says this: The Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron and his sons to treat with respect the sacred offerings the Israelites consecrate to me, so that they will not profane my holy name. I am the Lord. Say to them, for the generations to come, if any of your descendants is ceremonially unclean and yet comes near the sacred offerings that the Israelites consecrate to the Lord, that person must be cut off from my presence. I am the Lord. If a descendant of Aaron has a defiling skin disease or a bodily discharge, he may not eat the sacred offering until he is cleansed. He will also be unclean if he touches something defiled by a corpse or by anyone who has an emission of semen, or if he touches any crawling thing that makes him unclean, or any person who makes him unclean, whatever the uncleanness may be. The one who touches any such thing will be unclean till evening. He must not eat any of the sacred offerings unless he has bathed himself with water. When the sun goes down, he will be clean, and after that he may eat the sacred offerings, for they are his food. He must not eat anything found dead or torn by wild animals, and so become unclean through it. I am the Lord. The priests are to perform my service in such a way that they do not become guilty and die for treating it with contempt. I am the Lord who makes them holy. No one outside a priest's family may eat the sacred offering, nor may the guest of a priest or his hired worker eat it. But if a priest buys a slave with money, or if slaves are born in his household, they may eat his food. If a priest's daughter marries anyone other than a priest, she may not eat any of the sacred contributions. But if a priest's daughter becomes a widow or is divorced yet has no children, and she returns to live in her father's household as in her youth, she may eat her father's food. No unauthorized person, however, may eat it. Anyone who eats a sacred offering by mistake must make restitution to the priest for the offering and add a fifth of the value to it. The priests must not desecrate the sacred offerings the Israelites present to the Lord by allowing them to eat the sacred offerings and so bring upon them guilt requiring payment. I am the Lord who makes them holy. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to Aaron and his sons and to all the Israelites and say to them, if any of you, whether an Israelite or a foreigner residing in Israel, presents a gift for a burnt offering to the Lord, either to fulfill a vow or as a free will offering, you must present a male without defect from the cattle, sheep, or goat in order that it may be accepted on your behalf. Do not bring anything with a defect, because it will not be accepted on your behalf. When anyone brings from the herd or flock a fellowship offering to the Lord to fulfill a special vow or as a free will offering, it must be without defect or blemish to be acceptable. Do not offer to the Lord the blind, the injured, or the maimed, or anything with warts or festering or running sores. Do not not place any of these on the altar as a food offering presented to the Lord. You may, however, present as a freewill offering an ox or a sheep that is deformed or stunted, but it will not be accepted in fulfillment of a vow. You must not offer to the Lord an animal whose testicles are bruised, crushed, torn, or cut. You must not do this in your own land, and you must not accept such animals from the hand of a foreigner and offer them as food to your God. They will not be accepted on your behalf because they are deformed and have defects. The Lord said to Moses, when a calf, a lamb, or a goat is born, it is to remain with its mother for 7 days. From the 8th day on, it will be acceptable as a food offering presented to the Lord. Do not slaughter a cow or a sheep and its young on the same day. When you sacrifice a thanks offering to the Lord, sacrifice it in such a way that it will be accepted on your behalf. It must be eaten that same day. Leave none of it till morning. I am the Lord. Keep my commands and follow them. I am the Lord. Do not profane my holy name, for I must be acknowledged as holy by the Israelites. I am the Lord, who made you holy and who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord. And that is the close of Leviticus chapter 22. Now, every day during this study, we've taken time to hone in on different things. And today, I want to talk about something that has ran throughout this entire chapter, or this entire book, I actually mean, and is exemplified in this chapter. I want to speak to the nature of the sacrifices that are being given. You see, in this chapter, we continued to see some of the regulations for priests, and then we end up seeing sacrifices that would be seen as unacceptable to give to the Lord. And within these sacrifices, the most prominent thing we see is that any sacrifice that is of defect, has a blemish, has any type of issue, is not to be brought to the Lord as a sacrifice. Now, it could be given as a free will offering, as we're seeing listed in here, but a free will offering, we must remember, is something beyond the sacrifices for sin, for atonement, or for ceremonial cleanness or uncleanness. And so in this, God looks and he says, hey, don't give me the animals that you would choose to throw away. Now, really quick, is this because God's looking and saying these other animals or things like that are not good? No, not at all. But God is looking and saying, do not just give me what you would choose to discard yourself. Because, pragmatically, if one was to have to give up or to sacrifice something, well, if they're wanting to do it for their own benefit, they would give up the worst thing. And so God is looking here and he's saying, hey, if you're going to sacrifice to me and you're going to know that I am with you, that I am a God who is holy, I am a God who makes you holy. Again, what's holiness mean? It means to be set apart, that God is different from all the other gods, and that God's people are different from all of the other people, that in this, God looks and says, you must give me sacrifices that are different than what other people would choose to do in other cultures and times, not giving God what's left over, but rather giving God what is first and foremost, knowing the fact that at the end of the day, it's all his that he has blessed you with anyways. You see, for us today, this applies in a really practical way, that we don't go to God with what we have left over. We go to God with what we have first. And today, this isn't time for conversation about tithing or giving in specific amounts or anything like that, but we can all look and say that God does deserve us being generous. He deserves us giving of offerings to him on his behalf. In this case, we look and we see that these sacrifices, what would they go towards? Well, they would go towards being offered on the altar and all of that, but also they then went on to feed the priests and the priest's household and family and all these different things. We saw that at the beginning of chapter 22. So when we give of these offerings, they are to be unto the Lord. They end up helping to service things within the community, but also they then are being glorifying to God. I think it matters that we acknowledge that God in these sacrifices actually has some of the allotment go to help care for people. And so once again, the Israelites were not allowed to give their last fruit, they were to give their first fruit. They weren't to give the things they didn't want. They were supposed to give the things they wanted to keep. For you and I today, what must we do with the Lord? Lord, how would you lead us? That's what we got to ask him. How would you lead us? What are you asking of me? And how can I give you my best rather than my leftovers? Because we want our heart to always be that in giving God worship, giving him praise, giving him things like sacrifice, that we are doing it in a way that truly glorifies God, and it shows people that he is one who is worthy of praise. And so, friends, with that being said today, that's all I got for you out of Leviticus chapter 22. I hope that this was beneficial. I hope you gained some insight that maybe helps you throughout the rest of the book. But with that being said, I do want to make sure to say really quick, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to take a moment to subscribe, like, follow, leave a rating, genuinely all of those things. It's going to help make sure you don't miss out. And hey, it's going to help make sure that other people can find out about it. I do want to remind you, if you're checking this out on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, and one of those other options would work better for you, man, check them out. Go over to those platforms and follow and subscribe there. But with that being said, that's all I got for you today. If you got any questions, comment them down below. But with that being said, thanks for being here today. I can't wait to see you tomorrow because we are taking time to study the Word of God every single day.